Good morning, dear students. We'll be just moving ahead with the story Iswaran the Storyteller. So, who is Iswaran? So, Iswaran has the meaning that the God, the sense of God. But here it is not in that sense it is used. It is used in the sense of a proper noun. Iswaran, the name of a person. So, it is actually, the story is actually said by, narrated to Ganesh. Mahendra is narrating to. Okay, so Mahendra is speaking out to Ganesh. Okay. Mahendra speaks out to Ganesh. So it is actually a narrated story, a reported story, more than a narration, we can say reported story. So here we have the character of Mahendra is there, and Ganesh is actually only listener, he doesn't have a part at all. So Ganesh is not absent from here. But we have the character of Mahendra. So Mahendra, who is Mahendra? We have to see. Mahendra is actually a junior supervisor. So he is a junior supervisor in a firm. So he is a junior supervisor in a firm, and he actually has a cook whose name is Iswaran. He has a cook. And regarding his job, he is always on demand to change the shift from place to place. And he is a bachelor. Okay, he is a bachelor. And he always shifts from place to place. So he always shift from place to place. So that was very common for him. Today he may be in a mining place, and after some time he will be found near a bridge construction site, and next time he will be found in a quarry. Okay, so the place, he changes the place from one place to another. And according to the narration, it is told that he doesn't have a permanent stay. Okay. Sometimes it may be a tent, sometimes it may be a shed like, okay, made of tin sheet. Sometimes it may be a tent, okay, in which he lives. Okay, it will be pitched. Maybe a tent which he will be living, and sometimes it may be a small room of circuit room. Okay, a circuit room in which he lives. So it may be a circuit room where he is living. So this is what we see exactly. Okay, and he was a bachelor. Then. So how Iswaran's day passed? Okay, the day of Iswaran is something like he has a particular timing in the day. Okay, how the day of Iswaran passed, you will see. So early morning, he will make breakfast for his master. Breakfast preparation first. And then he prepare the lunch for his master. Lunch, and it is given after when he goes to site. And then he clean the the room, a long bat, have the lunch and then reading. What kind of thriller? Thriller stories from Tamil. And he even had some kind of affinity towards this thriller writers. Okay, so sometimes he had this story, these thriller writers had influenced him very much. Okay, so this is his aunt. He was very much enthralled by this, the descriptions that were there in the story. Now, that has an influence in his own life. Okay, what has influenced is the reading, thriller stories, reading. So how his own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. Okay, so if he describes something, so it has an influence of the writers. Okay, the Tamil writers, the narrator tells. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, so sometimes it may be a small incident, but he will have some elements of these writers that is coming into his speaking. He would try to work in suspense and a surprise ending in the account. So suspense will be there and it will be ending in a surprised account. For example, so if you take an example of this man's narration, the narrative mode, if you take, for example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say, okay, so just like if you have read the thrillers, you will find that how these people describe it. Okay, in the same mode of narration we find in this man's presentation also. Okay, Iswaran's presentation too, we find such mode of the use of such methods. So he will say what he would say. He would say if he finds a tree has been uprooted and lying on the road, how he will present it. Good example. The road was deserted and I was all alone. So he will just narrate it. Suddenly I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast. Okay, so immediately he finds something very strange lying on the road with a bushy means with a lot of hair upon its body. A bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. I was half inclined to turn and go back. Okay, my mind was not so happy because there is something very strange in front of him. So he was just thinking of moving back. But as I came closer, okay, when I came closer, I saw that it was a fallen tree. Okay, so he just makes the narration in such a way that the people get attracted by it. Okay, so he just feels some kind of the listeners feel some kind of suspense over his presentation. But as I came closer, I saw that it was a fallen tree. With its dry branches spread out, Mahendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Iswaran's tales uncritically, without arguing, without making a question. He will just listen to the stories that are made by Iswaran, and this is one of their pastime. Okay, after supper they will sit together and they will be making chit chats, and Iswaran will be narrating stories after stories in different ways. Then the place I come from is, there is another story here. Okay, if he narrates a story, how to. The place I come from is famous for timber. You know what is timber? Timber is actually the plantations, the logs that are there, logs that are used for making things, for making houses, for furniture, etc. So Iswaran would begin. So Iswaran would tell a story like this. There is a richly wooded forest all around. So in my place, it is surrounded by rich forest, a good forest. The logs are hauled on to the trees, lorries by elephants. Elephants are the main, they are the creatures which will transport these huge logs into the lorries. They are huge and well-fed beasts. Okay, huge in size, and they are given good food too. And we know that elephants have got the problem of getting mad. Okay, then what happens? And when they turn wild, even the most experienced manhood is not able to control. Okay, so the man who is controlling the elephant, manhood is the person who is controlling the elephant. So even the most experienced manhood may not be able to control an elephant which is maddened. So what will we do? After this prologue means the introduction. Okay, the prologue is actually the introduction. So after this introduction, what he will do? So after this, Iswaran would launch into an elaborate anecdote involving an elephant. What is an anecdote? A personal experience. Okay, so he will just elaborate a personal experience that he had in his life. So he will just come up with a personal experience. One day a tusker escaped from the timber. Tusker? What is a tusker? An elephant, a male elephant. A male elephant with the tusk. Okay, that is actually called as an elephant. Okay, tusker. Tusker is a male elephant. So the tusker escaped from the timber yard and began to roam about. So it became mad and it started moving about, stamping on bushes. Stamping means stepping on bushes, tearing up wild creepers and breaking branches at will. Okay, the trees were being pulled down. And then sir, how an elephant behaves when it goes mad. Okay, he asked in between he asked questions. Okay, how the elephant behaves when it goes mad. So he asked. Iswaran would get so caught up in the excitement of his own story that he would get up from the floor and jump up out, stamping his feet in emulation of the mad elephant. Okay, just emulation means so in the imitation of mad elephant, he will be just telling how I think it is done. Okay, so he will just show how the elephant is moving around about, stamping on the ground, etc. The elephant reached the outskirts of our town, breaking the main road and smashed all the stalls selling fruits. Okay, so when it goes mad, it doesn't have any control. So it just moves everywhere. Okay, so breaking into the fences, and the elephant reached the outskirts of our town, breaking fences like matchsticks. The fences that were put upon to show the division. The fences were there. What is done by the elephant? It was just broken like matchsticks. We know how easy to break matchstick. And he would continue. It came into the main road and smashed all the stalls selling fruits. Okay, fruit stalls were smashed, and mud pots and clothes. Okay, not only fruit stalls, mud pots and clothes also were being broken. People ran helter-skelter in panic. What is the name? Helter-skelter? That means in a hurry. In a hurry they move about. Okay, in a helter-skelter they just hurried everywhere. The elephant now entered a school ground where the children were playing, breaking through the brick wall. So it just broke the brick wall and entered in the school. All the boys ran into the classrooms and shut the doors tight. Okay, so they wanted to escape, and then they just went. Bees grunted and wandered about, pulling out the football goal post, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattering the drum kept for water, and uprooting the shrubs. Okay, everything was destroyed by the elephant that had entered into the campus. Meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up to the terrace of the school building. From there, they helplessly watched the depredation of elephant. What is by depredation? Depredation is the act of causing damage. So the act of causing damage, that's called as depredation. Okay, so there was not a soul below on the ground. The streets were empty, as if the inhabitants of the entire town had suddenly disappeared. So everyone in the city left the area because there was a mad elephant. And we will see what is the heroic act made by Iswaran in the next class. Okay, till then, thank you very much.